Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. It is Friday, July 21st, and my first order of business is to wish a happy belated birthday to my daughter Rochelle out in Ohio. Yesterday was her birthday, and I did manage at the last minute to get her a birthday wish yesterday in a text message. Yeah, sometimes I just get busy and things just get away from me. But Rochelle is the one. Well, she's not the only one. Lisa also gifts me T-shirts, but Rochelle gave me this T-shirt, and Rochelle's shirt says, "I play mandolin because punching people is frowned upon." There's a little bit of truth to that. Anyway, so. Got a pretty good program, I think, lined up for you today. There's a number of things I'm going to tell you about and a number of things I'm going to demonstrate, and hopefully it'll come off okay. I want to remind everybody before we get too far into this that we will have a live band performance next Thursday, the 27th at 7 o'clock p.m. my time. So it'll be right here on this same spot. So be sure to tune in for that next Thursday, 7 p.m. And we plan to do two 45-minute sets. It'll all be live, and you'll be able to make requests and things too, and we'll try to fulfill those. I mean, this is not a rehearsed show. We pretty much just play what comes to mind when it comes to mind, and so it just will be what it will be, and I think you'll enjoy it. Let's see. Sue said it's supposed to be in the upper 70s today, so that's a big plus compared to where we've been. We've been in the upper 90s to the low 100s pretty much for the last several weeks anyway. So if that's true, maybe I can get that horse trailer finally lined out today and start getting some paint on that. That would be really awesome. I also have been, working on a couple other projects that I'll show you here in just a moment and with some video. I went down and looked at my purple martins this morning because I wasn't hearing them, and they may have flown the coop. I don't know. Yesterday it rained a lot, so they may have taken off yesterday, but it could be it was this morning. And the reason I say that is because I did see one or two flying around, but I didn't see any on the houses or anything. And then a little bit later, I didn't see any at all. So it could be that they just left this morning. That's a good possibility. Cash, is my young student. I didn't really fill you in yesterday how his lesson went, I don't think. Maybe I did. I don't remember. But anyway, Cash is doing pretty well. He's still struggling with coming in on time on his picking. Once he gets to picking, he's in time. His singing and his strumming's on time. But when he converts from the singing and the strumming to the playing the lead, he gets off on his time there. So I've given him a few exercises to work on to try to fix that, and I hope he's going to be able to get over that hump pretty quick. I would love for you guys to hear him now. He's really doing very well, but I want it to be right before we do the next video. I had a potential new student yesterday. This was a gentleman I'm guessing in his late 40s, early 50s. I really don't know how old he is. He might even be older than that. I just don't know. And he said that he had trouble with his timing and his singing and, not being on key and stuff. And so we spent about an hour together playing and practicing and trying different things. And quite honestly, at the end, I had to tell him, I said, in my opinion, you don't really have a problem with either of those things. You're doing just fine. I gave him a few suggestions and a few pointers and some ideas and things, especially about jamming things, like I'm talking about when you attend a public jam where, everybody's just in a circle and you play music, pass it around. I gave him some suggestions and ideas about doing that and how to go about it. And that's kind of what led to the topic of today. I said I was going to do a little singing demonstration, and I'm going to do that. I don't consider myself the end-all, be-all, the best singer or anything like that. But there are still some things that I think we can all learn, and some tips that you can take away and may help you improve what you're doing. And we'll get into that a little bit later. I got really good feedback on the metal detecting video there. A lot of people seem to really enjoy that. I thought I'd just show you that I didn't show you not even, well, maybe 10%. I may have shown you 10% of what I found. Maybe that much. I doubt I've even shown you that much. Just as an example, here's a jar just completely full of stuff that I haven't even cleaned up yet. Sometimes when you clean this stuff up, that's when you find out what you have. Like I see there's a couple of bands in here that could be decorative. You just don't know. It just takes a lot of effort to clean all this stuff up. And so I find it and sometimes just throw it in a jar or something like this till I have time to go through it, And like, here's yet another jar. There's all kinds of stuff in here. A lot of it's nondescript, like some of it you can kind of recognize, like this is an old shoe lathe. I've shown these things on the channel, I think, before. Anyway, the interesting parts I have shown. But this one's either for a child or a lady or something, because it's pretty small. But anyway, there's a big drawer over there completely full, and there's a big box pretty much completely full. I literally have found, I would say, a couple of 100 pounds of stuff in the ground. Here's just a couple of other items just to give you an idea that's what's over in that big drawer. There's things like this, like a cultivator blade. Here's a stove leg. This would be this would have gone to a wood stove, probably, maybe a cook stove even. This is kind of nondescript. I don't know what it was, but I would guess that it's probably something off of a buggy or something like that. Don't really know. Could be almost anything. This I do know is a part of what they call a single tree or even a double tree. Single tree it's a board with these two things on it, and the harness hooks to this, and that pole or board that goes across that has two of these on there. Then there's a center hook on that, and that's what pulls the wagon or the implement or whatever. So this is for hooking up to a horse up to a buggy or an implement or something. And often these would have a chain or something like that hooked onto the end of this. And evidence of that is you can see how worn it is right here in that little war spot where the chain has been pulling, right in that one spot there. So, and there's just tons of this stuff over in drawers and boxes. I mean, there's just tons of it. Tons, not tons, but hundreds of, there's at least a couple 100 pounds of it over there. Maybe not a ton. But anyway, a lot of stuff. And a lot of it I just haven't even cleaned up. It's just so much. And there's a lot more in the ground back there to find, too. So, and then a couple of people, said, if you found that much money and stuff, there's got to be a stash back there somewhere, And, typically they did kind of hide out their money or put their money in some safe place in the house or in the ground under a rock. I mean, they just did all kinds of things back then, in a jar in the ground. But you also have to realize that money was pretty precious to them, and they probably aren't going to leave it behind. I mean, that's kind of the myth that it gets left behind. But unless there was something catastrophic happen and they all died, odds are you're not going to have anything left behind. I mean, even if 2 out of 3 of them die, that third one's going to know where that money is, and he's going to take it with him. So it's unlikely you're going to find a cache like that. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's unlikely. It's very low odds because it was pretty precious to them. That's why they hid it out. Let's see. Moving on from there, the window project, let me show you what I've got there first. Let me first show you this inside picture of the window replacement. You can see there that I do have both windows fitted in. Now this is where it used to be a bay window. It was done very poorly, and it was I debated on whether to make it a bay window again or just replace it with standard windows. And Sue actually wanted me to just replace it with standard windows. So that's what I did. And so this is from the inside looking out. And here's from the outside looking in. Well, there's what the window project looks like right now. It's good enough. Of course, I still need to put the trim boards around the outer edge. And I want to connect something in the middle here and put like a trim board in between them. Even though this really did work out where the two flaps overlapped. That was just the way it worked out. Didn't plan that. In hindsight, I really wished I would have put caulk in between them. But I'll figure out a way to seal that up really good without that. I kind of wished I had done that though. Hindsight. Yeah, hindsight's 20/20 is what I started to say there. And it's we could have gone with smaller windows and done a better job in a way, but we really wanted as much window as we could get, and so that's why we did what we did, and it's going to work out just fine, and nobody's going to tell the difference once I get it trimmed out and fixed. It'll be just fine. But we really did measure it very carefully, and we got the largest windows we could fit in the space, and it really worked out pretty well, actually. I'm kind of surprised how well it did work out. Let's see. I also have another little side project here. Take a look at this. Well, my friends, another project that I've been doing in the background that you haven't seen is the lawn tractor is on the blitz again. This is getting to be a fairly old lawn tractor, and it's kind of a commercial grade type tractor. It's called a Great Dane. I think John Deere bought them out, and I don't think they're produced anymore. But it was an independent guy that designed this, and it's really a pretty good tractor. It really drives fast and zero turn, all that. I have replaced a solenoid on this once before. It quit working. So I ordered a new solenoid. I also bench test that solenoid and this solenoid. And both of them bench tested okay, but instantly the wires I was testing them with got instantly hot, like red hot. I thought, well, that don't seem right. I don't know why that happened. Well, I don't know for sure about that, but in the meantime, while I'm waiting for this new one to come in, I tested this momentary switch that I put on there. Used to, the key would act as the momentary switch, but that's part of the switch quit working. So I put this momentary switch on there, and that's been starting it just fine for a long, long time. A couple of years at least, maybe longer. So anyway, I suspected this was the problem originally. Turned out I think that was the only problem. But when I bench tested that one and that one, I think something got stuck because when I put either one of those back in, as soon as you touch the final lead to the battery, watch. It tries to start. You can see the sparking there, but if I make good contact, it tries to start. You can hear that starter spinning. Something ain't right. So all I know is I'm going to try putting on the new solenoid and see if that fixes that problem, because I may have burnt something up in each of those solenoids. I really just don't know. I did buy a new battery for it also. The old battery tested bad. So, there was a myriad of problems. It was very difficult to diagnose. I just hope that the new solenoid fixes the problem. I really can't see any place where there's a misconnection. I've triple checked the connections. Everything seems to be exactly right. Just one of them deals that just says, nope, I ain't gonna work. Yeah, I run into a lot of those. It's just amazing. It just seems like the projects just are so crazy hard, like it's never just one thing a lot of times with me. In hindsight on this one, it probably was just a bad battery and or that momentary switch. Had I just fixed those two things, I'd have probably been fine. I didn't realize the momentary switch had gone bad until after I had bench tested those two solenoids, and both of them got hot immediately. I don't know why that happened, because I don't know. I've done that before, and it's never been a problem. So I just don't know what's going on. It's just like there's something... Yeah, I don't know. It's that rose of luck thing is all I can tell you. It's crazy because it's not like I don't know how to do that stuff, and it's just giving me fits for some reason. It just can't be easy. It can't be simple, you know. So I'll just have to figure that out. I'm trying to get that fixed yet right after this shop talk this morning. I'll try to go out there and put the new solenoid in, and hopefully it'll work. The one thing I noticed in that video, and I'm sure many of you did too, that if you know anything about that, is that when that starter spun that time, now before it didn't do that, but that time when the starter spun, it didn't engage the engine. That's even another problem. That just happened on that video right there. It didn't do that before. Before, when you touch the battery, it would try to engage the motor. I just don't know why. It's just like it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse instead of better, you know. I don't know. It's degrading. I don't know. Sometimes it's just hard to, you know, be positive about these things because they just keep building up on you. I've got my little ticker going there. You know, if you have any questions, put them in the comments, the comments section with 3 question marks in front of them. We'll get to those later. I do see a few there already. In addition, I've got the ticker says there, I can help you on Zoom if you have a project that you're stuck on and you need some help with it. I'll be glad to give you some suggestions or ideas. So we'll get to that down the road. Well, I've put it off as long as I can. I was going to give you a little singing demonstration. Now, you know, this isn't exactly a singing demonstration where I'm trying to show how good I am. I'm trying to show you different ways to approach the same thing. I'm trying to, I'm just going to take the Bluegrass National Anthem, that's what I call it. It's the Blue Ridge Cabin Home. It's a song that just about every bluegrass group knows. I think I sang this on the last Shop Talk or something anyway. But I'm just going to use this song as a demonstration of 2 different ways you could sing the same song. And this really applies across the board to any song. And it's, some people would call it stylizing, or I just say each word is important and you can give it its own importance by the way you sing it. And that's kind of what I'm trying to demonstrate here first. Now, the first time through this, I'm just going to go through it like a verse. But the first time through, I'm just going to sing it like Joe Average, and just kind of, and it should be just fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with this way I'm going to sing it, but then I'm going to show you a second way to sing it. And quite honestly, on the second way, I'm going to go a little over top, a little overboard with it to try to emphasize the options that you have when you're singing a song. All right, so if you're following along, this is just G, C, D, G, C, D in that order. So here's the average way to sing it, and again, I'm not picking on anybody. This is okay way to sing it, really, but you can do more with this. There's a well-beaten path on this old mountainside where I wandered when I was a lad. And I wandered along to the place I call home in those Blue Ridge hills far away. Oh, I love those hills of old Virginia. From those Blue Ridge hills I did roam. When I die, won't you bury me on the mountain, far away in my Blue Ridge mountain home? Okay, assuming I'm on key and in time, that's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just straight through the song, and you just pretty much sing the words, and you just let it happen. But then you can stylize that, and you can start to give your phrases and your words more emphasis. Each word has some importance. The songwriter included those words for a reason. And, especially when a song has meaning to you, then you can, kind of emphasize that meaning in the words. And so here we go. We'll try a different way of singing it. And again, I'm going to show you that I am going a little overboard with this, but I'm trying to make a point, and then hopefully you'll see what I'm talking about. There's a well-beaten path on this old mountainside where I wandered when I was a lad. And I wandered along to the place I call home, and those Blue Ridge hills far away. Oh, I love those hills of old Virginia. From those Blue Ridge hills I did roam. And when I die, won't you bury me on the mountain, far away to my Blue Ridge mountain home? So, it's just a difference. There's not a lot of difference in some ways, but you can tell that I'm putting a little bit more feel, a little bit more soul in it on the second way. And, on certain songs, it's really important. Here's another song that I used to sing just kind of bland, but I'm going to sing it to you the more stylized way. And I think you'll see how I'm emphasizing certain words, especially at certain key points. Now this one's in D. Let's see, I'm trying to think of all the chords in this one. I know it has a 2 chord, so it has an E and an A. I think there's a G in it also, but I'm not positive about that. I think it does. I've been working out in the rain, tied to a dirty old ball and chain. Oh, dear mother, I've come home some old day. And some sweet day you'll turn me loose from this dirty old calaboose. Oh, dear mother, I'll come home some old day. Some old day, you'll wait for me and pray. Oh, dear mother, I'll come home some old day. Some sweet day they'll turn me loose from this dirty old calaboose. Oh, dear mother, I'll come home some old day. I don't know if I can pick it. Oh, dear mother, I've hurt you so, and I've been cruel to you, I know. Oh, dear mother, I'll come home some old day and tell my brother, sister, and dad that they're the best friends that I've had. Oh, dear mother, I'll come home some old day. Some old day, you wait for me and pray. Oh, dear mother, I'll come home some old day. And some sweet day they'll turn me loose from this dirty old calaboose. Oh, dear mother, I'll come home some old day. Yes, dear mother, I'll come home some old day. So anyway, whether you like that or not, you can sing them just plain and bland, or you can stylize your songs a little bit and put more emphasis on certain words, even sort of breaking up the phrases a little bit with just a tiny bit of a pregnant pause before you say the next word, kind of thing like that, to throw it around jumble it up just a little bit, and it takes practice. You can't just instantly get that until you've done it a few times. But it's something that if you're, wanting to improve your jamming skills and your singing skills and things, those are some of the things you can think about of how, because there's always multiple ways to do everything. And that includes singing a song. There's many ways to sing the song. And that's why sometimes you'll hear, a popular song and you just love it because you've fallen in love with it, and then you hear somebody else do it and you just don't like their arrangement, and so that's the point is you try to come up with an arrangement that is appealing and that sounds really good, and really often the arrangement makes the whole song. I mean, honestly, you can take a bland song sometimes, and really that Blue Ridge Cabin Home is kind of a bland song, but by arranging it properly and phrasing it properly and singing it properly, you can really turn that little bland song into something fairly cool. So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. I hope that makes sense to you, and I hope it helps you. We'll get into the questions now. It looks like there's been quite a few questions. Scroll up the screen there. So let me get into the questions from yesterday's video first. Let me find that here. I think I've got it. Okay. The first one is from, it says user-WI7DG8GW6E. That's quite a mouthful there for a username. It says, "Hi, Jerry. Really enjoy your shop talking videos. I, too, have the hands problem and fully understand why you retire from the instruments. Could you describe the fret leveling file that you made, the length, width, etc.? Well, we'll do that. Let me hear. I didn't think about getting out a ruler here. It is a 6-inch mill bastard file. It's a 6-inch mill bastard file. That's what they refer to these as. It's not a double cut. It's just a single cut file. And, you can see I've attached it to a maple block. I've cut the tang off, of course. Usually they have a rat tail here coming out on a file. Well, I cut that off. Generally speaking, the rat tail area is soft. So you can generally cut those off with like a hacksaw, or if nothing else, you can use how come I can't think of the words? One of those discs, a grinder disc to cut it off. I can't. I know the name of it. When you're on camera sometimes, and especially like when you're on stage, that's when I can't remember my band's name. It's terrible. I just have that issue. I can't remember names. But anyway, just take one of those angle grinder. That's all I was trying to think of. And just take an angle grinder and cut it off if you can't cut it off with a hacksaw. Then you kind of round that end off, and then you kind of round this end off, because you don't want those catching on your frets as you're sliding this. But honestly, the most important part of all of that, which I haven't talked about yet, is that I don't care how flat you think your file is, they all have a very slight curve to them. And, I'm exaggerating. But instead of being perfectly flat, they all have a little bit of a curve to them. And it's very minor. It's very minor. It's only a couple thousandths of an inch. So take an inch, divide it into 1,000 pieces, and it's only 1 or 2 of those pieces that they're off by. But they're all off by about that much. You want to turn the concave side up, the convex side down when you glue it to this. That's the most important part of this. If you don't do that, it won't work very well. You want to make sure that the bowed part is down, the cupped part is up, if that makes sense to you. I glued this on. Somebody said they went back and saw my video where I made this and glued it on, and I used JB Weld. That's what I used. If that's true, which I assume it is, it's the only thing I've ever glued with JB Weld that's held. I truly can't get JB Weld to do anything. I really can't. I've tried it a bazillion times on a bazillion different projects. And every single time I always wished I wouldn't have used it. But apparently it worked for that. So there you go. We're going to say it's perfect for that. Anyway, that's about everything I can tell you about it. I hope that makes sense to you. Moving on to the next one. Tom My Art Strong is his username. Hi, Jerry. Saw a stump in your shop with an anvil on it, and it reminded me of one in our jewelry shop that has a vise bolted to it. My boss split the wood on the stump about 60 years ago when he was younger in his grandmother's cabin, and estimates that the wood is around 175, 200 years old, still has the bark attached. Somebody shellacked it somewhere along the line. I'm just wondering if your stump has a story behind it. Well, the truth is, no, it doesn't. Side note, I just saw a video come out yesterday. I didn't watch it. Wrangler Star had a video out, and in that, you know how if you just click on the video temporarily, it'll give you that first few words. And he was talking about in those first few words that he was going to bury this tall stump and put his anvil on it and bury it. And that's the way he said they used to do it. Well, maybe they used to do that where you're from, but I never seen anybody do it that way. And I've been around a lot of blacksmiths, a lot of horseshoeing, a lot of anvils, in my life. I've been around probably as many as just about anybody you'll know, because you grow up that way, And I ain't never seen anybody do it that way. So I don't know where he was coming from. But yeah, you just want a real heavy base for your anvil. A big, heavy, sturdy base. One that ain't going to move. One that's, when you hit down, it ain't going to give. And so really all that was, it was just a piece of firewood that I donated to the cause rather than put it in the furnace. That's really all it was. And I don't even know when I did that. I'm going to say I probably did it right after I bought the farm here, probably 1998. So it's been sitting in there a long time. And that's the whole story to it. It's really not much of a story, unfortunately. But anyway, moving on to the next comment here. We've got Ratty Dave, R-A-T-T-I Dave. Jerry, what do you think of sinker cypress as a tone wood? I have access to some 150-year-old sinker cypress that's been out of water for about 15 to 20 years, stored in a nice dry garage the whole time. Well, the honest truth is I don't know anything about cypress. That's just the truth. The only thing I know about cypress is what I looked up, and that is that it is a softwood. Because it's a softwood, you would not want to use it for your back and sides or your neck. You would want to only use it as your top. And then my caveat to that is, first of all, it needs to be quarter sawn. Second of all, it needs, I would hold it up like this after you quarter saw it into a nice thin slab, and I'd tap on it. And if it makes a tone, I'd use it. If it doesn't, I wouldn't. And that's just the bottom line. So I hope that helps you. But that's all I know about cypress. Otherwise, I'd tell you more. Pete C4302. Hey, Jerry, I don't mind. If you don't mind, I tell you, I can't read. Can you tell me the Mohawk product that you use to help eliminate blush? I looked on your products I use page and I did not see it listed. So he said Mohawk makes a couple of products and he lists them there. And I found a couple of products on Amazon, but they're not this product specifically. Now, when I look on this, right here on the edge, it says, right there, it says, for commercial wood coating operations only, not for retail sale. So there you go, right there. It's a commercial product. I looked on Amazon. I could not find this on Amazon. Not this specific product. It may be the same thing. I don't know. They have like an aerosol version or something that looked like on Amazon. But this is a liquid, obviously, that you pour out of the can. And this is called Super Blush Retarder. And it's got M7163407. And your number, you did point out to that number. So you must have found this somewhere. So I don't recall where I bought this specifically, but I think I just went and Googled it and found it and bought it. In my opinion, and this is just me talking, there's no further authority behind it than that, and that is, in my opinion, this is the only blush retarder that works. I've tried several others, 5 or 6 others, and they don't work worth a hoot. This stuff works. Black and white works. Guarantee you it works. It just flat works. So if you can find this, this is what you want to use with your lacquer. I'm telling you, it's a world of difference. I tried the StuMax stuff. I tried several other brands, and they just flat don't work. Period. So believe what you want. I got no reason to lie to you. That stuff works. Okay, that's all the questions from yesterday's video. Let's get into the questions for today and see what we've got. Let me start at the top. Looks like Davey Brown was the first one to put a comment in there today. Newton Horn, that's Bo Horn. He says, good morning from Louisiana. So, hi, Bo, how you doing? Moving down to the questions. Richard Harrington, how is your rentals going? Is there going to be days open in the fall? Well, Richard, we don't actually control the availability of that too much. We will block out a day or two here or there. But it's all scheduled now on Airbnb. So if you go to my website, you can start the process there, but it will take you to Airbnb to finish the process. And you can go ahead and make your reservations on the Airbnb site ahead of time. And I'm sure there's plenty of fall reservations available. It is rented a lot. There's people in it right now. It's rented more than you would ever think. It stays rented, I would say, almost every week, just about. And then we do have the apartment also. And of course, the apartment's a little bit cheaper and it's a little smaller. It's just like an efficiency apartment. It has a little kitchen, a little bathroom, like a combination living room, bedroom thing. And so kind of like a motel, really, but except with a little bit extra because you have your kitchen and there is a washer dryer in there too and a refrigerator and the whole bit. So the apartment's really nice, actually, but it is small. So just understand that. Wouldn't want to bring a big family of 5 or 6 for the apartment, but for the house, it's plenty big. It's just like a regular house, except, it's not a big house, but it's probably, 1,000 square feet or something like that. Okay, moving down to the next one, and I'm looking for question marks, so Zappa says, Jerry, with the starter not engaging the engine, it indicates a problem with the centrifugal clutch of the starter. Yeah, maybe. It could be. It could be the fact that I screwed up something. I don't know. I don't know, really. But you're right. I mean, I kind of know about starters and they got that Bendix thing that spins it out. I don't know. I'll just have to see. That didn't happen until that video. I mean, honestly, that was, I just don't know. It just keeps going downhill. It just really kind of sucks canal water. Paul Lanier. Inside the solenoid is a spring and a copper contact wafer that passes power from the main battery to the starter. That could be locked down, causing the latch. So that's what I suspect, Paul, actually, is what I totally suspect, is that both of them are locked down and they're just making a pass-through current. Yeah, I'm pretty good with electric. I pretty much understand it forwards, backwards, sideways, but yeah, it's just kind of like one of those luck things. It's just like, it ain't bad enough to have a bad battery and a bad momentary switch. That ain't bad enough. You got to have a lot more stuff happen here. It's just kind of the way it works. Anyway, moving on. Dean Barnes says, best of luck in your newest endeavor. Love the mandolin playing. Could you please include more playing in the future? Well, thank you, Dean. That's very nice of you. I am not a very good mandolin player. I do what I do, and my playing style is and this is not a brag, it's just a black and white fact, it's considerably different than almost every other mandolin player on the planet. And I say almost every, and kind of mean every. As I have told the story several times before, I was in that mandolin workshop, and we all had to get up in front of the class and explain how we play, and they had already made all kinds of comments that I was doing everything wrong. Now, they weren't talking about me. They were just talking about, in general, all these things you're not supposed to do. Well, I did all those things. And so I, fortunately, had a few days before I had to get up in front of the class and give my spiel. And so I gave him my whole spiel. I told him how I came to be this way and why I do what I do. And I use my little finger to play lead all the time, which most of them said you're not supposed to do that. Maybe a little bit here and there, but for the most part, you're not supposed to use your little finger for the lead. You're supposed to use these three main fingers, and because you don't have the power in your little finger. Well, I use the little finger just as much as I use the first three, and just on and on and on and on. And the difference, the real difference, though, is that I play almost all double notes as I'm playing lead. Almost all. Hardly ever do I play single notes. I do play a few, but I barely play any single notes compared to double notes. And you might say, well, how in the heck did you ever do that? Why would you do something that stupid, you know? And I came about that by a legitimate reason. My uncle, when I first started playing mandolin, I was in my late 20s. And my uncle, Don, who was very well respected, knew Bill Monroe, knows Doyle Lawson, knew all the big names, Jim and Jesse, all those guys. And he was friends with all of them. And they all even came to his festivals that he had. And he would go coon hunting with Jimmy Martin and sit on the porch with Bill Monroe and all those kinds of things. I mean, he was good friends with these guys. So you got to think about the fact that you've got this guy telling you something. You know what I'm saying? He's very well respected. Also was considered to be the father of bluegrass music in Missouri. Not the father of bluegrass music, but the father of bluegrass music in Missouri. He started with John Hartford. John Hartford started with him, I should say, because it was Don Brown and the Ozark Mountain Trio, and John Hartford was one of those trio, along with Norman Ford. Well, anyway, make a long story short, which it's already too late for that. But anyway, so Don says to me, his first time he's ever seen me play a mandolin, he goes, "Son, I didn't know you played mandolin. How long you been playing that mandolin?" And I said, I've been playing it just about 2 weeks, maybe a month at the most. And he's saying, "Oh my gosh, son, for somebody that's only been playing that short amount of time, you're doing really good. I don't know that I ever heard anybody do that good before." He says, "But I can't hear you. You sound wimpy, and you need to learn how to play double notes." He turns around and he walks off. "I can't hear you. You sound wimpy. You need to learn how to play double notes." That's all he said. He didn't explain none of that. That's all he said, and he left. Well, I basically tucked my tail. I go home, and I didn't practice in front of anybody for a whole solid year. I mean, I didn't play out in front of anybody because I didn't want to sound wimpy. I wanted to be heard, and I had to figure out how to play double notes because that's what he said. It's not what he meant, but that's what he said. What he meant was you play a few double notes here and there for emphasis. That's what he meant. That's not what he said, though. So I had to figure out, how the heck do you play double notes? Single notes is hard. Well, I figured it out. And that's why I play different than just about everybody on the planet. Like, here's a little bit of sled ride. And I've shown this before, but just show it to you again because I know we have new people. Like, and, again, I'm not the best at this. I mean, Jeremy Chapman or somebody like that's really good at playing mandolin. I'm just okay. So here we go. I don't know if you can tell, but all those are double notes. See, I'm hitting two notes there. This note and this note. notes there. It's hard to see it, I know, but everywhere through that song, pretty much, I'm hitting 2 notes. Hardly hitting single notes at all. And that's the way I learned to play. And you might say, well, how in the heck did you ever figure that out? Well, the way I figured it out was I learned that your chord positions already have those double stops in there. And at least on the mandolin, when you're playing the full, quote-unquote, Bill Monroe chord, all those double stops are in there. Then you just have to learn how to make them work. And the cool thing about it is that because the chords are all the same, so like here's your G, it looks like that. Here's your A, it looks like that. See, it didn't change. So there's your G, there's your A, there's your B, there's your C. It didn't change, see? And then when I go up to the what I call the middle chords, or the ones that you start on the second set of strings. In other words, they're not on the bottom, they start up here. Well, now I don't have a place for my little finger, but the chord shape is still the same, and then you just move it down again. So you got your C, your D, and your E, and then your F. And so the shape is the same all the time. So once I figured it out in one chord, where all those double notes were, I had it for all the chords. So it was pretty easy once I figured it out. Now, granted, and I always get the comment, yeah, but it's pretty limiting the way you play. Well, all right, it is. I've already told you, I'm not as good as Jeremy Chapman or Sierra Hull or any of those guys. I'm not even that much of a pimple on their, face. I mean, I'm just not that much compared to those guys. I understand that. I totally get it. I know it. But they don't play this way either. And I am not making this up. I'm telling you the truth. As I was given this demonstration, in front of that mandolin workshop, they were all very intent on watching because they'd never seen anything quite like that. And I swear to you, my hand on a Bible, Sam Bush gets up out of his chair while I'm playing my song and gets out of his chair and he walks right up like this, and he's got his nose this far from my mandolin, and he's going, I ain't never seen anybody do it like that before. Now that'll put a wrinkle in your get along, let me tell you, when Sam Bush does that to you, Anyway, Sam Bush was a really, really, really cool guy. He really was. I'm not kidding you. One of the coolest guys I ever met. I mean, he really was. In music, he was so nice, and quite honestly, he was exactly opposite of what I expected. I expected him to be kind of cocky and kind of smart-alecky and stuff, and he wasn't. He was just as nice as the day is long. He was just really a cool guy. And anyway, I can't say that so much for another guy that was there, but I'm not going to go into that one. But anyway, it was pretty cool. It was a good experience. And at the end of that class, they said, "Now you remember what we told you? You don't do this and you don't do that. Except Rosa, he can do it." Anyway, it was pretty funny how they ended the class. So that was the last words out of the class. All right, moving on. But thank you for asking to hear more. I'm hesitant to play more, quite honestly. The hands aren't that good, and I never was real good anyway, and now it's just what I did have is kind of going downhill. All right, let's see. Okay, moving. I've just lost my place. I'm looking for it. I think the next questions I see is Mike Saba. Jerry, I like your anvil. I was wondering if you have more than one since you had so much junk when you bought the property. No, that anvil actually came from that photographer friend I mentioned a while back, Jack Zert. Jack Zert was a world-class photographer. I mean, he was known all over the world. He really was. He's that kind of photographer. And by some accounts, he was considered the world's largest private stock photographer. And I told this story before, but I'm going to tell it one more time because it's 100% true. You can mention just about any subject you want. I mean, like you could say, the one I always refer to is the Wisconsin Dells, because that's the one we mentioned to him. And he goes, "Oh, I've got that. I've got that." And he walks. Keep in mind, he's got dozens. I mean, like probably 20 to 30, maybe 40 file cabinets completely full of photos. Being completely full. This is not digital. This is photos. He's got the negatives, he's got the photos and everything. And he'll walk, you can mention anything, and he'll just say, I got that. And he'll walk right over to the specific file cabinet, to the specific drawer, and pull out the specific picture. And he'll do it in under a minute. I never seen anything like it in my whole life. Now, I told that story before, and what I forgot to tell you was the follow-up to that, and that is that a documentary came out, like a film crew came out to document this, Jack and his file system and the whole bit. And they were very interested in his file system, and they wanted him to explain it, since he could do that and find any picture he wanted. You're not going to believe this, but this is the truth. This is his true answer. He said, well, you guys, it's a pretty simple file system. He says, you see that cabinet way over there on that end? He said, and you see that top drawer there and that front picture in there? That's number one. He says, you see that cabinet way over there? He says, that's number 69,320, whatever the number was. I'm making it up. But you know what I'm saying? He's going, he said, that's it. That's my file system. They look at him like he's got 5 heads, and they're going, well, you got to have some kind of index or something. He goes, nope. He said, that's it. I'm not kidding you. And you think I'm making this up, like it just can't be that way, but it's that way. And then like he would say, like I remember a time we were talking about deer and something, and he goes, oh, he says, take a look at this. He walks over to the file cabinet, he pulls out this picture of this, and it's a picture of a cow. And I'm going, well, that's a picture of a cow. That's not a deer. And then you look closer, and it's 2 baby fawns sucking on a cow, sucking the udders on an old milk cow. And he just, you think, well, how did he had to make that up. He had to make that happen. He goes, no. He says, I just driving down the road one day. He says, I look out in this field and I see this cow, and these 2 baby fawns are nursing on this cow. He says, I jumped out with the camera, and snapped this picture. He had the most unique pictures and the craziest stuff you've ever seen in your life. I mean, and he had it, and he knew where every one of them was. I've never seen anything like it in my whole life. It was the craziest thing I ever saw. Okay, so anyway, that was a long story to tell you about the anvil. He's the one that gave me the anvil, and the reason he gave me the anvil was, well, he just didn't. He was kind of retired from the photography thing. He was way up there in age, and so he started getting rid of a lot of his props. That was just a prop to him. He never, not one single time, ever laid a hammer on it. Well, he might have laid a hammer on it to take a picture, but that would be the only thing he did with it. He never hit it with a hammer, let's put it that way. And but he just had all kinds of props, just gazillions of them. I mean, gazillions of them. He's also the guy that took the photos on my first 2 albums. Let me just get that real quick. Watch this, I'll show you.
Tea and soda pop written on the faded window sign. Ruby and Pearl are her best friends. There you'll find the 3 of them. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9:30. You can set a watch by there.
I know it sounds like such an incredible story, but I swear to you it's true. And so he took these 2 photos. He got into space photography, and if you remember Hale-Bopp, when Hale-Bopp came through, and it's washing out there, but you can see it there. That's the Hale-Bopp comet. So he took this in his backyard, and that's a real photo of the night sky with Hale-Bopp going through. And this is just one of my mandolins that he superimposed over it somehow, and he took the picture of the mandolin too. These were just snapshots for him. I'm not kidding you. And the picture on the back was just a snapshot. I mean, like he doesn't set up for hours. He just walks up and just snaps the picture. I mean, that's just the way he does it. He was very good at it. And he took this picture too. This big rock that's behind this, we had the mandolin hanging on a giant rock that he had there in his yard as a prop. And we just hung it on there, and it was a nice texture. This particular mandolin went to, let me think about this. This particular mandolin went to Shibukawa City, Japan. That's where it went. It's where it wound up. This picture on the back was not taken by Jack. I think we snapped that picture ourselves. But anyway, it was pretty cool to have a world-renowned, world-class photographer taking my pictures for my, covers like that. I really do miss old Jack. He was a neat old guy. Just a very cool man. All right, so that was the long story about asking about the anvil. So nobody else better ask about the anvil. Okay, let me move down. Let's see. Pete C. I found those blush products only on Mohawk's site. Yeah, I kind of think that's where I got them too. Yeah, rather than on Amazon. Yep, that's where I think I got mine too. Paul Lanier, Jerry, your 100% true stories are wonderful, but try the 40% true stories like I use. Most folks think they are too good to be true. Yeah, well, I'm telling you, this is 100% true. 100% true, not exaggerating anything. I've seen him do it a gazillion times. You really couldn't even hardly bring up a subject. He had so many photographs that you could bring almost anything up. Like, something about a train, and he'd pull out some unique train picture, just anything you mentioned. He would have some kind of photograph that would relate to it, It was really cool. Actually, it was very cool. And the scumbags that stole his property also stole his whole photo collection. Yeah. And his collection was somehow it was cataloged through some New York company he had it cataloged with, and they sold his pictures all the time. Well, the scumbags that stole his property stole that also. So, the crooked lawyer and that guy. So they got all that, and I'm sure they're making millions of dollars off of his photographs to this day, which really sucks. It really, really, really sucks. Anyway, again, because it was all supposed to go to the Catholic Church. It wasn't going to me. I don't have a dog in the fight, other than it just makes me mad that there's just such scumbag people in the world that just steal everything, and it just sucks. I hate a thief worse than I hate anything. I've got a backhoe too, so you don't want to come around here stealing anything. If you don't know what the backhoe's for, I don't know how to help you. It's to get rid of the evidence. Okay, Bill Dedrick. Jerry, have you ever met or played with Don Rigsby? No, I never have. I don't think I ever met him face to face. What do you think of his mandolin playing and his singing? Well, the truth is, I don't follow Don Rigsby very much. I do have an album or two of his, and I think it's good. I don't remember anything that stands out to me about it, to be honest, because I haven't listened to it in a while. And but he's very good. I mean, he's a good singer, a good player, and all that. Okay, I think that's it. That looks like all of the things, and it is right at 9 o'clock just about, so it's been one full hour. Looks like we have 119 viewers on here right now. Thank you so very much for tuning in and being so nice to me. I really do appreciate it. I will try to get some kind of video out this weekend, although I haven't really got started on it yet, so I don't know what it's going to be. It might be the Bay Window Project. It might be something that's in the can from a while back. I did notice there were some instrument videos out there still, so I may try something like that. You just never know. It'll be a surprise, but hopefully I'll have it out by either tonight or tomorrow. But I do have a lot of other work to get to, like that tractor, and I want to get on that horse trailer too. So I don't know when I'll make it happen, but I will make it happen. We will see you on when we see you again. Thank you so much.